Hello, and welcome to this week's Devil in the Detail podcast. I'm Rob Paxton, and we're here talking all things Salford Red Devils. Join the show this week, as ever, we've got Paul Whiteside, fresh from keeping the economy going. Hopefully, he'll get through the show before having to pump some more into the economy.
Well, we'll see, mate. I hope so. I'm looking forward to me time off on Thursday. But yeah, good to be on the show, lads, and looking forward to talking about Salford. Hopefully, we won't get interrupted.
Yeah. Also on the show, we've got Salford's very own Bear Grylls. We've got Paul Parkin, fresh from his camping expedition. Parker, talk us through it.
No, it was fantastic. Lovely sort of escape. A lot of peace and quiet and fields and lakes. And no, it was nice. Just what was needed, really, just to blow the cobwebs away. It was nice. First week we went for a couple of days. It was a little bit cold. I'll say that at night it went a bit cool. But the second week we went back up that way, up into the Lake District, and it was beautiful, absolutely stunning. So yeah, it was great. But I must admit, I think this is the first pod I've been on in 3 weeks now. So I didn't want you to sack me, so I thought I'd better put my hand up and come back on. But yeah, no, I've had a nice time, nice little break. But I've missed talking Salford.
Yeah, me and Paul worried about your Wi-Fi connection, weren't we, Paul? But the photos we saw were beautiful. I'd love to go camping round a lake like that. I love a good UFO conspiracy theory, and I've seen a lot of documentaries where they usually just pop up from the lake or just over the mountain. So I'd have been there with my binoculars at night, waiting and hoping.
That sadly, with my eyes, I couldn't see a UFO from the moon, so it wouldn't make a difference.
But yeah, it's been a different week for me. My car failed its MOT on the lights, so immobile now. Paul, I'm not talking about the Italian striker either.
No, it sounds like it's kaput, that car of yours, isn't it? Really, no, it's going to the car graveyard by the sounds of it. When's your new one coming in? I thought you'd ordered a new car.
Yeah, end of September. So hopefully, I was hoping that my old car would carry me through, but giving up the old ghost now. So, public transport awaits, I think, unfortunately.
Ooh. It's not the best, is it, public transport? It's pretty bobbins, isn't it, really?
It is what it is, unfortunately.
It is indeed.
So, enough of my sad story. What we'll do now, we'll talk rugby league. Look forward to look back at the victory against Hull. And the defeat against Castleford, all the big news coming out of the Salford Red Devils last week and this week. We've got Paul's amateur report, and then we're going to preview the game on Saturday against Warrington. So what we'll start off looking back at the Hull win.
You're listening to Devil in the Detail, and this is your big match review.
So Parkett, victorious against Hull at the AJ Bell Stadium. They won 42 points to 14. Good result, very good result. I thought they played very well. Obviously, they played Catalan a couple of days earlier, and I was wondering how much we had in the tank, but we had plenty in the tank, and very good performance.
Fantastic, easily the best performance of the year. I don't think there's any doubt in that. I mean, to be fair, we've not had a lot to go at most of the time, but. No, from I think Hull probably had 10, 15 minutes of that game, and the rest of it was ours. We were super. Everything we did, we seemed to just get the tactics right. The fact that Hull are a massive side and their pack was huge. I was sat just near the bench, and when you see them warming up, you realise that our forwards aren't the biggest, and we were going to struggle if we thought we were going to run over them. And when we started throwing that ball about, especially in the second half, we were unstoppable. Some of our players really got to show their skills and what we've got. A brilliant performance, great tactics, and a fantastic result, which I must admit was I didn't expect anything like. I thought the score might have been reversed with Hull obviously chasing top six and us not having anything to play for. But no, brilliant, great performance. And we seem to just knock the confidence out of Hull a little bit, and knock the stuffing out of them, and they didn't know where to go. I think. We made Mark Sneed look very silly at times, some of the things he was trying, and we just nullified their forwards. And then we let the ball go and we tied them out. Great performance all round.
Yeah, I've got to agree with you there, Park. I thought the forwards were fantastic. Shows, Paul, that we have sort of a different sort of game plan. We can play with the big forwards, but we couldn't this week. We had to go with the forwards who were going to run all day, and that was the difference. I thought our forwards were fantastic. Got a good sort of goal forward, and Hull were able to deal with that.
No, they weren't. I thought we moved the ball really well, and you can look at the pack, and I know looking at the game at the Magic weekend, we've probably got our first choice pack's probably out injured. I mean, you can top the players up there. All the big men are missing. Lee Mossop's gone as well, so it's difficult. But I thought against Hull we were very, very mobile. I thought we moved the ball superbly well. And when it goes to the edges, you've got Ken Seo and Joe Burgess on the wings there, and you've got two cracking wingers there. I mean, obviously Reece Williams was missing, who's another belting winger, but those two I thought played really well. Joe Burgess is looking now like the winger that he was at Wigan. So it's great to see him on the ball. I think another thing for me as well is it Chris Nini's goal kicking. It's so important when you're going up in sixes. I mean, that reliability. I think it's just an extra sort of, it's in the head. I think when you're going up in sixes, you're just that cushion, aren't you, in front? So when we got in front in that second half, I thought we could have had 60 points there. I really did. We looked like we scored every time we had the ball. We were so creative, so dangerous. And, Hull aren't a bad side. They've got some good players, but I thought we made them look really poor. And I think it was credit to the players that we've got there. So there's some big minutes from the forwards. And Harvey Levette, again, who've got to single him out, I think, because at times this season he's playing on one leg. He looks absolutely shattered. But, no, they got through the game. So, no, like Parky said, totally agree with him. Best performance of the season, that, Rob. It really was a fantastic display.
Yeah, Ken Seo with 4 tries as well, Parker. Some of them fantastic finishes. It shows that when you have quality on your edges, on your wings, and you give them the ball, they know how to score. Joe Burgess on one side, Ken Seo on the other. 4 tries in a game. What a performance.
Well, I mean, Kenny Seo, his scoring record for us is something just ridiculous. The ratio that he scores tries at, and for me, he's well up there with the best wingers in the league. No doubt about it. When he gets the ball, he's dangerous. Our problem's been getting him enough ball in space at times throughout the year, we find our wingers just bringing the ball out of defence constantly. But when we started to break free against Hull, him and his link with Inu was just something to behold. It was brilliant to see, and obviously Inu's goal kicking, like Paul said, banging over. Doesn't matter where you score. You don't have to score under the posts all the time. But I thought Kenny Seo was outstanding, and I don't want to go into too many details, but if Ken's not with us next year, it's going to be a massive blow, because he's just been every time he's played for us, he's been outstanding throughout the 3 years he's been with us. I'd love to see a couple more years, but whether that happens, I don't know what his contract situation is. But brilliant on the day. Of the 3 quarters, like you say, I mean, Sarge linking up with Burgess, which is a partnership they've had before at Wigan. Again, like Paul said, starting to see Burgess sort of get to that level where he's been. Obviously, injuries have dogged him for a while now. But again, you can see his pace. I mean, when he gets a bit of space, wow, he can shift. So that's a dangerous line. And with Morgan at the back, our attacking options were fantastic that day, and they all linked up really well.
Yeah, Chris Atkin as well, Paul. Great performance from him. Here, there, and everywhere, and that's put lots of sort of thoughts in Richard Marshall's head. Obviously, for next season, he's got half backs there available, but Chris Atkins doing the business at the moment.
Well, he is. I think he's probably one of our most consistent players for the season in his creativity roles. Of halfback. I know he played hooker in that game against Hull, and I think he's very creative. He works his socks off as well. He's not one of these players that goes missing for half a game. He's there. He puts big minutes in. He's always working hard and geeing the other players up. And wears that on his sleeve as well. If he does something wrong or something doesn't quite work out for him, you can see he's frustrated. So a very, very wholehearted player. And I think we'll get another big season out of him next year. Chris Atkin, I think he's been great. Just going back to what you said about Joe Burgess, I think now with Joe, if we can get him a good run in the side. I'm on about 20 games on the spin now. A big run of games. I think you'll see him back to his best. I'd just like to echo what you said about Ken Seo as well, Parker. For me, I think he's up there with the best wingers in the league. You name a better finisher than him. You give him a ball and he'll score. He'll beat men and he'll score. And if Salford want to do anything next season, we need to keep older players like him. I've heard players mention it after next season. Not as good as Ken Seal. You need to keep Ken Seal. Really do. He needs to stay at Salford. Ken Seal needs to stay at Salford. He's one of the best wingers we've had in a long, long time. And if you've got Burgess on the other ring, you've got Rhys Williams there as well. In a season, you're going to get injuries, so you need that squad depth. So you've got three good guys there in CO, Burgess, and Rhys Williams. I think we were laughing there. We've got some really good players. So yeah, let's hope we can hang on to those two.
Yeah, they are, good players. Obviously, like you said, Ken Seal. We don't know what the situation is regarding his sort of status for next season. You're hoping we can keep hold of him, Parky, but obviously we know with the salary cap, funding going down, and we need a decent sort of size squad to cope with, COVID and the other injury stuff that might hit us between sort of next season. So I suppose Richard Marshall will have sort of tough decisions to make, not just on Ken Seal. You've got other players who are in the last year of the contract. They've got to make a decision on what they want to, how much they want to be paid, and how much we can afford to pay them.
Yeah, obviously we know as a club we're not blessed with money, and that's always going to be an issue. And if someone comes knocking on the player's agent's door and says we'll offer him this much, he's got a short career. You've got to go and make your money, and I don't blame any player for that. I think with the likes of CO, players like that are pretty rare as a finisher, like Paul said. And I think I would direct more funds to him than perhaps other players. I would happily let other players leave the club to keep him, because he is a special player. He's a special winger. Like I said about his scoring rate, I'm not too sure where we're up to now, but at one point it was more than one every other game. It's ridiculous, considering we're not a team that scored a lot of points, especially this year. I think average about 14 to 16 points a game. So how he's managing it, I don't know. But I know it's a tough decision, and obviously the club have got to do what they can with the money and get as many players to cover all these positions. But I'd be pretty upset to see Ken go. But like I say, there are others in there. I mean, Inu, what's going to happen with him?
Yeah.
Does he come back in the side? He's been unplayable most of the time, and several others who were on the last year of the deal. So yeah, you've got to be wise with the money. We need to have a balanced squad. But I just think certain players like that, you build teams round rather than let them go and just keep bringing in fringe players from teams that may get relegated. That'd be my worry. But we've done it before, so we'll see.
Sometimes you bring a player in who comes from a sort of relegated team or a team that's struggling and turns into a superstar. Gil Dudson, for example, Paul.
Well, yeah, and Christian, where he was signing from, Witness. And there were a few eyebrows as were raised, I think, when we signed him. But I think with Christian, you've got a guy there who's played in grand finals in Australia, hasn't he? And you've only got to watch him on the pitch, how laid back the man is, and how quality is that touch of class that he has. And like Park says, people like that don't come along very often. So you do have to adapt and look to those. It's talisman, aren't they? I think Inu is. And you look at Ken Seal now, I believe he's gone to the top of the try-scoring charts. He's the leading try-scorer in Super League now, which is something to be proud of. That's brilliant. So yeah.
If you're Ken Seal's agent, you listen to the last sort of 3 minutes of his podcast, you've clipped it up and posted it to Paul King, haven't you, to see him get an extra couple of quid out of him, Parker.
Don't blame me.
So, yeah, so like I say, great performance. Looking at the tackles, top tacklers, Sam Luckley with 27, Ryan Landon with 25, Ollie Roberts with 23, Chris Atkin with 32, and Ellis Robson with 24. Forwards there, Parky working hard.
Yeah, and still a lot of tackles considering we had the majority of the ball, I would have thought. Certainly that second 40 minutes, I think Hull might have had about 5 minutes of decent pressure, and then it was all us, if I remember rightly. But yeah, some good stats there, some good numbers. It's a shame we've not had them numbers when we've taken a beating. Maybe it might have been a bit more respectful in certain games. But no, that's good. Ellis Robson, been impressed with him while he's been with us. More good numbers, and I hope he's a player that I hope we can do a deal with. I don't know what the situation again. All these players, I don't really know what's going on. I don't know if the contracts are worth anything anymore. But I'd like to see him stay and develop with us, and it sort of goes along with it, the remit that Ian Blease and Paul and everybody else have put down about having so many Salford lads in a team. As we move forward, well, as him and Wellesley to start with. So I'd like to see him stay. But good numbers, good defensive work, and he seems to put in a real shift because when he comes off back to the bench, the lad's knackered. He's just, he works everything he's got. So good. That really good defensive work.
Yeah, he's kind of living our dream, isn't he? Really, as being a fan, and we kind of live our dream through him. So as long as he keeps doing what he's doing, the world's his oyster, Paul.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, I've been really impressed with Ellis Robson, to be honest with you. I noticed in that game against Hull, does a lot of work out wide as well, linking up in the channels, linking up with the centres there out wide. So he's a very busy player. Very busy player. He gets his hands on the ball. He offloads as well. So, I like what I see. He's not just an head down merchant. He's got a bit about him. He's got something to work with as well. And he's only young as well. So he's only going to get better, as he learns and goes forward. Another guy, Sam Luckley, I think has been tremendous. Particularly in the last few weeks, he's starting to get in the team. And I thought he played really well at the Magic weekend. But that game against Hull, he came on there. He doesn't... At first, he was a bit green, but I think now he's really settled into the side. Now he comes on, he's strong, he attracts defenders, and he's always looking to get the ball out as well. His offload game's really good. So I think, again, going into next season with another full pre-season behind him, I think he's going to be mustard next year. I think you're looking at a really, really good forward there. So, like we said there, Ellis Robson as well. Good young player. You've got Jack Wells in there. There's some real good young forwards at the club now. So we need to, and Josh Johnson as well. Must mention Josh Johnson because I think since Lee Mossop's gone, he's been like a starting prop, hasn't he? Not the biggest guy in the world, but he's another one. Runs through a brick wall for you. Really does. So we need to keep nurturing these lads now and just keep progressing with them because I think they're doing well for us.
Yeah, I always say to Paul Parker that good teams have players who, I call them 8 out of 10 players who play at 8 out of 10 every week regardless, and we're starting to get a few of them in this team now, which is good, and you're hoping that Richard Marshall can obviously get a few more in the transfer market, and next season we can turn into, we can roll back the years for a playoff spot and maybe a grand final finish.
Well, you're right. The first person who really sort of enlightened me on that was Carl Harrison during his time with us, and he had players like Andrew Brocklehurst and Ryan Clayton and Simon Baldwin and people like that. And he said that you can't have all superstars. You can't have, you need players who are just willing to roll the sleeves up and do the unfashionable stuff. And he said it while he was at Bradford, in that great Bradford team. I'd say great. They bullied everybody, but there was a couple of back rowers there that they had that were just there to do a job. They weren't the ones getting the headlines or anything like that. And he sort of said that you need players like that. And obviously he took his coaching style from, right back to probably Brian Smith and Matthew, got his name anyway, that kind of thing. So he sort of mentioned that. And I think that's what we've got. We've got quite a few players like that who are willing to just roll the sleeves up and get stuck in and do the job. I believe the guy we've been linked with, or may have signed, I'm not sure, from North Queensland, he's that type of player from reports that I've gathered. A guy that's just honest, he'll toil his socks off for you, and he's not gonna be winning Man of Steel anytime soon, but you'll get 100% out of him, and you need players like that, and we have got some really good ones, and you just sprinkle a little bit of Stardust on in between, and you've got the makings of a great side, a bit like what we had in 2019. At the start of the season, weren't we a misfits team and this and that? The lads just believed in themselves, got stuck in, and we still had that little bit of quality dotted around the pitch. Obviously, Jackson Hastings, Lussick, people like that. It can take you a long way. Just a lot of hard work. Yeah.
Looking at the stats, the meters, Paul, Ken Seal 229, Joe Burgess 141, Ryan Lannon 91, Oliver Roberts 88, Josh Johnson 116, Harvey Levette 119, Ellis Robson 84. Ryan Lannon, for me, another one of them unsung heroes for me. Graphs, works hard, quite experienced really compared to a lot of players in this squad. Always puts the shift in.
Yeah, well, he's been around for a while now, Ryan Lannon. Probably looking about 6 years or so. He coincided about 2015, so it's He made his debut at the back end of that season, so and he's been away, went to Ulker and came back, and No, he's a useful player. I think he's a player that needs to get his nut down now, because now should be the time he's coming into the prime of his career, really. So he's got to. Just getting attacked by my dog here. He's got to keep working hard. But no, like you say, we've got players there. You just mentioned the guy from Australia, Parky mentioned that his name escapes me, but we've got another guy at the club, Elijah Taylor, who I can't wait to see a bit more of. He's been incredibly unlucky with injuries this season. You know, he's had COVID. I think he lost 10 kilograms due to COVID. That's a lot of weight for him to lose. You know, a guy of his size, and I think at the moment he's got a rib injury. I think it is at the moment. That's keeping him out this season. So I was talking to somebody at the weekend, and he was asking me about Taylor. When do you think he'll come back? And my opinion on that is I wouldn't bring him back now. I'd let him finish the season. You know, and rehab for next. I wouldn't rush him back now. I'd let him get 100% fit and bring him back next year, because he's going to be another workhorse. So we have got the makings of like we're all saying, got the makings of a really good side, I think, now. And the guy next season, Brodie Croft's coming in, who's supposed to got that bit of X factor. So if we can sprinkle a bit of stardust round, as you say, we've got the workers there as well. It should be exciting. It should be an exciting year next year.
Yeah, it's going to be exciting. Obviously, all these players that work hard, Parky, you need that in your squad. Always said with Ryan Lanner, you get in his head and you turn him into a world-class second row.
Yeah, well, I think I've said it on here before. When I first saw him, I thought he had potential, like say back in 2015, 16, to go on and make an international place of his own. He had the athleticism. He had, you know, he wasn't afraid of anything, and he was always going to bulk up and get better. And I think a lot of what maybe held him back in the past is himself. You know, probably his discipline's been poor, which this season seems to have improved since that early incident against Hull. I think second game in, was it, and he got sent off or whatever. Ever since then, he seems to have cleaned up his act a lot. And like Paul said, if he gets his head down, he's a very valuable asset. Him and Harvey in the back row, you know, are two real, you know, still youngish talents. Well, certainly in Harvey's case as well. So yeah, we've got a lot of that, and I just think we just need that little bit, something to spark us, and the potential's there. We've been unlucky. We've had a lot of suspensions, a lot of injuries. COVID has you know, like Paul said there, especially with Elijah, has just knocked the stuffing out of a lot of us. If we'd have had a full team out most of the year, which you could say that about every team, but I think we'd be a lot higher up the table than we actually are.
Yeah, big thanks for your 3-word match reports and man of the matches. Rick Andrew, absolutely unbelievable. Jeff, his man of the match was Chris Atkin. Ricky P and his dogs in sale. In-laws visited. His man of the match was CO. Missed a game. OSF discipline reached reward. His man of the match was Chris Atkin. Natalie Taylor, saw it coming. Inu. Tony Frame, loved every minute. Colin Reynolds, Ken CO. David Deakin, season's best performance. Ken CO. Chris and Janet Shenton, players in positions, Inu/CO, which you couldn't decide. Nicholas Fletcher, great team efforts. Atkins, James Hoskinson, some real graft. CO. Mike Pevitt, Vowles Bostit, Lou Keane, superb team performance. Ken CO. Joseph Lockley, box worth it. We always like to watch a winning performance in a box, don't we, Paul?
I don't know. I can't remember the last time I watched a winning performance from a box. What was that other one? There was a coded message that you got off someone there. Didn't get a word of that.
Trigger. Someone's getting triggered.
right.
Mind hypnosis thing. Let's have a look. Matt Carr, more like it. CO. Richard Morton clicked at last. Atkin. Chris Seedhouse, errors were cut out. Josh Johnson. Your mate Roy Ellaby. He missed it as well. Ken CO. So yeah, big thanks for your 3-word match reports and man of the matches. And Parker, yeah, happy to report a great win. Bumped up our win performance, which is always a good thing.
Yeah, I think at this stage of the season, the win didn't really matter in many ways. It was about performance, you know, and we certainly got that from the lads, didn't we? Again, you go through the names that were listed there. There's so many like different names. Player that didn't get mentioned from the whole game was Tuilola Hea, who I thought again was really, you know, really clever, really smart. But Chris Atkin, he's such a quick thinking sort of player. That try he scored, you know, he's going to be a massive asset. I know he signed the new deal and so on, But at halfback or at hooker, he's been so good all year. And even last year when he first sort of come into the team, he's just got that something about him that that smarts that you need every now and then. Will he play every week? Probably not. I just don't. That's my sort of personal view that he's kind of a bit of both. He's useful as a utility player, and sometimes that can go against you. But again, against Hull, he was brilliant. He really was. Again, we'd lost another player, and he just came in and he was probably better than the player who replaced him in many ways. So, it's good to see so many different names being mentioned. Like Paul mentioned before, someone voted in man of the match was Josh Johnson. Very, very rare does a grafting prop forward get any mention for a man of the match. So it just shows how well he played.
Yeah. So let's now look at the Magic Weekend defeat at Castleford. Paul lost 29 points to 18. I thought, we grafted, we worked hard, but Cass, with Paul McShane, he was on the pitch in the first half. He was a difference for me. We got back into it, but unfortunately, just not enough to. We huffed and puffed, but just couldn't blow the Castleford house down.
No, I thought it was a disappointing performance, Rob, to be honest with you. Like I said before, Castleford are a big side, got a big pack, and I thought they bossed it in the forward, really, and we were lacking those big men. Our first choice pack is out injured, and you're always going to miss that. But when they named Peter Matautia and Jordan Turner at the halfbacks, I thought we've got more than a chance of beating him here. We know all about Paul McShane, so why let him run? They scored 5 tries, Cass, all from close range. The first 3 in the first half, no one he could have played a dinner suit, Paul McShane. You've got to be quick around marker, haven't you? You've got to work hard around mark. So some of them tries for me were soft. I didn't think we did ourselves justice in that game, to be honest with you. I thought Cass were there for the taking. Disappointed. No, a disappointing performance. And, you get that. I don't think, I said it on my report, I don't think you could lack the effort of the players. I thought they worked hard. I think it was smartness sometimes in the game, the way we let them get on top of us. And, just little things we could have tweaked and things we could have done better. Ken Seal and Burgess both scored good tries, both finished really, really well. I thought Eskery looked dangerous. Igano showed some nice touches. Wasn't so sure about Kevin Brown at loose forward. I won't say he got found out. I thought he worked hard, but Cass targeted him. Not a loose forward, is he? So they were targeting, they were running at him, and they won him out, really. So no, I was disappointed. I thought we should have beat Cass.
Tactically, Parker, Richard Marshall went for 4 halfbacks across the field. Kind of worked in certain parts it didn't. With Kevin Brown playing it loose forward and playing as a loose forward rather than splitting the field and having halfbacks on either side. Like Paul said, it clicked sometimes it didn't, and it'll be something to think about for the next few games beyond, because obviously the injuries are still there. Players aren't coming back anytime soon by the sound of it, so he's going to have a think about how that functions, really.
I think Paul's just summed it up. I think he's just said everything that I wanted to say. I was really disappointed before the game when I saw the lineup. I thought we can take these, knowing that also that Paul McShane, I think everybody in rugby league knew he wasn't fully fit. But rather than target him when we had the ball and run at him, we did completely the opposite. And then when he got the ball, we didn't put any pressure on him at all. I just don't get why you don't look at the opposition's main player. I thought this after the lead defeat. I didn't come on the podcast that week. That if you've watched a team, you know what they're gonna. You know the strengths. You know the weaknesses. Just try your best to stop it. And we didn't do anything about it. The Cass tries. I'm not taking any away from Cass, but every single one of them was soft. Really, really soft. Defensively, we just fell apart. And we had second half. We had so much ball and did nothing with it. We didn't give it the 3 quarters in the space that they'd been given on the Monday before. We're just talking about the whole game, how good we were, the outside backs, because we knew our forwards couldn't take them on. In terms of size. The same applied to Cass, but we went down the middle all the time. This inside ball, even 10 yards from the line, trying to crash over. We haven't got forwards big enough to do that when your pack's missing. Get the ball to Kensio, Inu, Sarginson, Burgess, or Eskery, 10 yards from the line. You're going to have a chance. I think we just got everything wrong. And I know People on the day were saying, "Oh, I don't think it was bad." We worked hard. Don't get me wrong. I'm not knocking the players for their effort. We lack brains out there, and tactically we got it all wrong. The Kevin Brown playing at loose forward thing. I'm not Wayne Bennett, but I'd have told you that wouldn't work. And I know we lost Harvey Levette in the warm up. Massive blow. The kid's a sensation for me. So we had to move things about, but why don't you just start forward at loose forward and put Kevin Brown on the bench? And if you have to, let him bring it on with his experience when the game needs something bringing to it. That little bit of a tactical kick or what if the game's not going your way. I just think it was all wrong, and it was so disappointing after Monday. I mean, if we could have backed up with another win, the last two games, we got Warrington away and Saints at home. I mean, let's be honest, we're not really looking at much, are we? That would have been a nice way just to end the season for everybody, at the Magic Weekend, in front of everybody, in front of the Sky cameras, send everyone home. Big Salford travelling fans, by the way. That they were magnificent again on Saturday. It was a great turnout, the most I've seen in a Magic Weekend anyway. And I just thought we got it wrong.
I think, obviously, with Brown playing at loose forward, it was all about pivots. And if you're going to play sort of 4 pivots, you need runners. And unfortunately, we had more Chiefs than Indians, if you know what I mean. And you're asking your forwards to do extra sort of running. We're going to look at the stats in a minute, and all your forwards are knocking on 100, and that shows the art of graft they did. But Richard Marshall talks about in his press conference, which we'll put on in a minute, that it has its advantages, Paul, of playing loose forward, but then you lose the extra goal forward you would have is in a loose forward who plays loose forward.
Yeah, I just thought it was the wrong decision. I mean, just looking at that Paul McShane, he played the game on one leg, for God's sake.
Yeah.
He should have stopped him. He wasn't fit on the day. I mean, I don't think he played the full game there. So, I mean, there was this try before half time. We got right back into the game. That Oliver Holmes goes over. I mean, what? Grandma could have tackled him there. They were doing that. I mean, he just walked in and he's poor. But that sort of defence, it costs you games, doesn't it? So, for me, we looked like we were going to get back into it. We got a 40-20 in the second half. And I think it was 22. I can't remember what the score was at the time. We was in it anyway. We got the 40-20. I thought, right, we've got a chance here. And I think we cocked it up on the first tackle.
Yeah.
Sometimes our attack, it's so clunky sometimes. And yeah, there's too many people. And I mean, the halfbacks, Lollaria and Agano, I don't think that partnership works. I don't think that partnership works at all. So no. I think that needs work on. I mean, another guy who I thought played well, and he's had a bit of stick this season, Morgan Escudé. I thought he was pretty exciting again. I still think he needs to work on his defence, but he works hard, and I thought he played well. The backs were good. I thought Sargison, who for me has looked like he's lost a bit of weight to me and not looked right since he's had his COVID, and he's starting to build himself up, and I thought he got in the game and did okay. Forwards did big minutes, but it's all right having these pivots on the pitch, but if they're not organising and not doing the job that they're supposed to do, I mean, how many times did we just dolly the ball up on the last tackle? The attacking kick, there's no attacking kicks there. And like Parky said, that fall back on the inside, ain't going to fool nobody. You're 20 yards out from somebody's line. You've got to test. You've got to test the opposition, put the ball on the floor, get a repeat set. We're too easy to defend against sometimes. Cass were just gobbling it up. And when we did it, we had a lot of ball there, but we never really looked like scoring for me. So that's my sort of two penneth on it. But no, I was disappointed. You know, when you travel up there, and like Parky said, I was in press box for the Salford game, and I was watching the supporters, and I walked around and met my mum and dad after that game. And when I sat down, somebody actually commented to me, a couple of people, it was Andy Wilson actually used to write for The Guardian. He said, "Blimey," he said, "Salford have brought a lot of supporters, haven't they? Look, they're really vocal and blah, blah, blah." And I said, "Yeah," I said, "we've got a good following there." I was really proud that, you know, people in the press had actually noticed that. You know, we get a lot of bad press, don't we, about crowds and that. They're all massed up there. And I thought, we let them down a bit, really, a bit disappointed. And I thought the effort was good, but it's just the application, I think, for me on the weekend just wasn't good enough.
Yep, Hingano scored his first try as well, which is good. Parquet, obviously, you'd be looking for a contract. Another player who's obviously looking for another, couple of big performances to see if Richard Marshall decides if he's worth a contract for next year.
Yeah, he seemed off the pace the other day. I will say that. And like Paul said, I don't think that him and Tui work particularly well together. the ball seemed to come to him and he seemed to have to freeze and think about what was coming next rather than it just being automatic, let the ball go or do, you know what I mean? It seemed to stop with Hingano a little bit. I'm not knocking the guy. He needs time. He's only been in, a short time. Give him a full pre-season, let him work his way in, and then next year he might be half back. We don't know what's happening with Tui. His contract's obviously coming up. So, give him time. I'm not knocking the guy at all. And I think that probably goes back a little bit to that 4 pivots, that, having 4 half-backs on a pitch. It's not going to work. Who's doing what? Who's controlling the play? Who knows who's setting up what play next?
Yeah.
It doesn't work. We tried it at Wigan for a short time, didn't we, in that second half? And no, it doesn't work. I know we short played and somebody's got to play, but that's not right. But no, I'll give him time now. He's been brought in halfway through a season. He's had to settle, family and all that. It's not easy. Let him get used to everything. Get a pre-season. I mean, he'll probably be, a better player for it. But if we do, if someone like Tui is staying, which I don't know, and Brodie Croft's coming over, and obviously Kev Brown's going to retire, but we've still got, Chris Atkin there. We've got to put a stamp on who's who does what. It just seems a little bit bitty at the moment, but no, like I say, I'm not knocking him. I don't think he was great, but good for him to get his try. I'm sure that'll give him a bit of confidence going forward.
I thought it was his best performance for us so far. I'm not saying it was a world beater. I just thought he scored his try, and we looked a little bit of WD-40. Not need a bit more, but it's getting there. Looking at the stats, Paul, top tacklers, Kevin Brown with 29. It's probably the most he's done all season in one game. Ryan Lannon 31, Oliver Roberts 34. Chris Atkin 46 and Ellis Robson 37. So forwards taking a bit of a pounding, but obviously against big Castleford pack, that's what's going to happen.
Well, yeah, and as I said before, Darryl Powell's not daft, is he? I think he'd said to his forwards, particularly that Holmes who works hard, George Griffin, that Jesse Lefebvre's not the biggest guy in the world, is he? But he gets through quite a bit of work. That Massey as well. I'd have said to them, just run at Kevin Brown, because he's playing loose forward, get him working his socks off, and Kevin Brown's not on there for his tackling. He's on there for his creativity. So yeah, it was strange that. And one person that has not been mentioned for ages, and I wonder where he is and what he's doing, is Declan Pan. What's happened to him? Because he was fit the other week. Because I saw it, he was training with the team when I went to see the training. So has he completely fell out of favour? Because if I remember rightly, he only got a 1-year contract, didn't he? So his contract will be up for renewal next season. So from what I gather, are we not going to keep him because he's not played? So we've changed it round quite a few times, and he's never really had a look in, has he? So no, I thought Higano did okay. He took his try well, but he is off the pace for me at times, and he looks like a rabbit in the headlights at times, and he can't get to the speed of the game. But to err on his defence, you need time to develop, and you need time to settle into a squad as well. Plus, it doesn't help when you're changing half-back partners and things like that. So I think maybe next season we need to nail an half-back partnership down, don't we? We can't keep tinkering about with it every week and swapping things around, because you look at every other side in Super League, they have a 6 and a 7. And, if they're not injured, they play together every week, don't they? So we've tried that many people this season. It's been like test and trace, hasn't it? So no, but I don't know what's happening with Patton. I'll be honest, but I just find it strange how he's not really had a look in.
Top meter makers: Sam Luckley with 92, Ken Seal with 98, Joe Burgess with 91, Ryan Lannon with 99, Greg Burgess 95, Josh Johnson 99, and Dan Sargent 100. Parker, like I said, if you've got 4 pivots, you need your forwards to make meters, and it looks like they gave an effort, because I always say, if you can get sort of 5-6 over 100, we didn't get quite over 100, but we were virtually there. You're on for something. So it shows the forwards did work hard.
Yeah, they did work hard, and that's the point. But it wasn't fruitful, was it? It's our tries came when we give the ball out wide. Again, that's just simple. You watch the game and see that. I just want to go back to something there. You're going about the tackles. I'm sure you said Chris Atkin did 46 or something.
Yeah.
Now, Chris Atkin isn't built to do 46 tackles.
No.
But as another thing that Carl Harrison said years ago, I must have a love affair with Carl Harrison, is that you, as everybody knows these days, but you would target halfback to run at in defence, to tire them out, take them out of the game. We've got 4 halfbacks on the pitch who aren't great at defending. That's not their role. I understand that. But so Darryl Powell, being the coach that he is, will have sat down, looked at our team sheet and gone, well, there's 4 players we can target in defence constantly, which will A, help us make meters because they're not very, they're not big defensive players. And B, will tire them out when they're going forward. Again, that's why, just another point on why it didn't work. But going forward, we seem to make, in the second half, quite a few meters. I think we struggled again in the first half. But in the second half, we got ourselves to their line a lot more. But just, there wasn't the size and power. And I understand that the pack's missing. On the other flip side of it, how many of that pack will be there next year? We don't know that, do we? So it's something we're going to have to just deal with. We can't just keep blaming, he didn't play and he didn't play. But they tried hard. They worked the socks off. But Castleford were just, bigger and stronger, and that's what won the game. Because if the ball had been playing in the same way that we did against Hull, our outside backs would have demolished Cass. I really do think so. I think in every position in that back 5, if you like, we were better than them. Unfortunately, we didn't give them the ball in the right areas because, again, we hadn't gone forward enough and spread Cass, tired them out, made them work hard. So it's something we've got to address. Hopefully next year we can bring in another couple of big lads, and they can do that job. But yeah, we really lack a bit of size. But I'm not going to knock them for effort.
I spoke to Richard Marshall after the game, and this is what I had to say. So that was Richard Marshall.
Right, Rick, it's Rob.
Hi, Rob.
Defeat today, but there wasn't much between the two sides.
No, there wasn't. There was. I thought they took their opportunities. We probably didn't take ours. But at the same time, I thought we would look creative with the ball. I thought our kicking game was really good, as it has been. Just defensively, we're a little bit loose in and around that ruck, which created some problems for us field position wise. But they were a desperate team. They looked desperate today. And they just got over the top of us. But there was nothing in it. Well, there was 4 points in it with 15 minutes to go, and we weren't quite clinical enough at that point.
Yeah, you played Kevin Brown at loose forward, so we had 4 halfbacks on the field. Didn't that help with our sort of attacking play?
In some respects it did, in some respects it didn't. But Kev did a really good job defensively. We there's some changes that were forced. We just thought we wanted Kevin involved in the game, and we defended him a little bit wider, so he didn't get that traffic, but he found himself in the mix a couple of times. But yeah, I think it helped us in some respects. But I also think we lacked a little bit of go forward off the back of that.
Yeah, we hung in the second half, showed good mental strength and physical strength as well. Is that something to build on for the next 2 games?
Yeah, we've had that over the last couple of weeks, and that is certainly something to build from. We'll get tested again against Warrington and St Helens, 2 quality teams going for, looking for a grand final spot. So we've just got to make sure that we prepare really well over the next couple of weeks. We will not throw the towel in. We won't do that. We'll keep working hard. There's not a lot at stake for us, but at the same time, that creates some problems as well. But in terms of motivation, we're fully motivated to finish the season really well.
Yeah, Castleford are a playoff chasing team. How far away do you think we are from that?
Not far. I really don't. I think we had a couple of one-on-one misses. I thought our discipline was a lot better. I thought we had a couple of calls that didn't go our way. I thought we got tackled in the air a couple of times. I don't think there was a lot between those 2 teams. If I'm being honest, I think defensively they were a little bit stronger than us. But yeah, there was not a lot.
Yeah, we picked up a few. Another obviously challenge for the squad in the next 2 games.
Yeah, I have no idea who will be available for next week. yeah, we'll sit down and hopefully we can get a couple back. You know, Elijah Taylor, James Greenwood, possibly Paulie. You know, there's a couple of lads on the periphery who couldn't. They were all injured. Those 3 players, but we might have to nurse them back to health this week.
Yeah, Warrington away next week. Another sort of game against another team that's sort of chasing something.
Yeah, and we want to be chasing things as well. You know, we want to be one of those teams, and we're not quite there at the moment. It's not been the greatest of seasons, but we've picked up. I think we've picked up a lot over the last couple of weeks. There's some boys in there who have got some really good experiences that they've learned over the last couple of weeks, and yeah, we'll put our strongest team out, and we'll have a real good go over these next 2 weeks.
Cheers, Rick. Good luck. Thank
you.
Marshall, Paul talking after the game, he talked about how Castleford took their opportunities. We weren't sort of clinical in attack, which we've said, and he obviously held his hand up about the sort of the defensive effort. He said it was slack. So, you know, he's not sort of blind to this. He knows that there was issues, and you're just hoping he can fix them up for Warrington on Saturday.
Yeah, and I'm sure he will. On the day on Saturday, when I was sat in the press bit, I sat as high up as I could, because the stands that I there at Newcastle, it was raining a bit, so unknowing to me, I was sat right in front of Richard Marshall, so I could hear all he was saying all the way through the game. And let me tell you, people who say he's not that passionate or whatever, he blooming well is. He was going mad all through the game. It was great listening to him, you know, getting a bit of an insight into what he was saying, and, you know, just the things that they say on the radio and tell him to go and do this, tell him to go and do that. So it was really interesting, to be honest with you. So yeah, I'm sure he'll fix things up. And I know Parky said before about Warrington's going to be a tough game. We've got an 18-point start on the coupon, by the way, as well. But I think we've got a chance in this game. I do, because I think Warrington blow hot and cold. So we go there with the right attitude, and you know, you can get something out of that game. But we do need to fix things round a bit. I don't think going with 4 halfbacks on the pitch this week is going to help, really. So I think you'll probably change things around there. But it all depends on injuries and things like that. I think one guy we missed on Saturday was Jack Ormonroyd as well. He's another big man. Failed his head test, didn't he, after the whole game? So I would have thought he'd be back in the team. So he'll give us a bit of a boost going there against what is a big pack at Warrington.
Yeah, was it like sitting next to the ex-Huddersfield coach? Was he all potty mouth, or was he like just getting his point across without having to carry Ryan Wilkinson's bleeper around?
He shouted. I tell you when he shouted. They shouted that there was a penalty when who was it? That was a ridiculous decision as well. Escudé got penalised. We had the ball, and I can't remember what he got penalised for. And we had the ball. And even I jumped up, and there's 2 guys in front of me, 2 writers, who turned around and say, "What are you shouting at?" And Rhys Williams was sat behind me, and I could see him giggling, and I thought, well, I'm not really impartial, me, because sometimes you get lost in it. But no, Richard Marshall's is a gentleman, absolute gentleman. No swearing from Richard Marshall, but wears his heart on his sleeve, I think, and I think he's a good bloke.
Good. He also mentioned, obviously, about the injuries. Said that obviously they're trying to get through these next 2 games. Parky, they'll try the best. They'll be committed to the cause, and that's, you know, a good thing. You know, for us, we as supporters, we want to see the commitment to the cause. Obviously, injuries is a big problem, but the boys who are fit will try the best.
Yeah, I don't think any player goes out to lose at all. I think you know, just professional pride more than anything. We lack a bit of quality, don't we? Certainly in the pack. That's the problem. That a lot of them players. I mean, losing Moose was a huge blow. Not only as a captain, but and a leader, but as a prop forward. You know, Big Seb, he's gone. You know, Paulie's not played for I don't know how long. I'm not really sure why, but that's another matter. We haven't had Greenwood all year. Virtually, he was really impressed me when he has played. You know, Ormonroyd, like you say. Levette was out. We can go on forever. Oh no, you know, Elijah Taylor and his experience, what he would bring. So yeah, we do like that, but we lack leadership. That's one of the big things, and that's why, you know, losing Lee was huge. We've not had time to sort of put in place something. I know Greg Burke's kind of carrying that at the moment, but I don't see that as Greg's role in many ways. I don't think he's that kind of guy. He's a great bloke, very funny as well. You know, someone you'd probably love to spend time with. But on the pitch, I don't know if he's the right man. So going forward, that's something we've got to address for next year. Maybe someone like Taylor with that experience, an international player, he might take that role. But that's the problem we've got, and we've got to deal with it. And I don't know if Warrington, I know we're going to talk about it in a bit, but I don't know if Warrington have got anything really to play for other than, because they'll be in the playoffs, and I'm not really sure. But I don't know if we've got the week after, whether they'll just rest a few, or if there's a couple of knocks, don't take the risk. Because I know I watched them against Wigan, and it was a rough game. But yeah, no, I don't think any of the players have let us down as such in terms of going out and giving what they've got. It's just some of them have been playing on one leg or whatever, and fitness has been an issue for us. But we just got to look forward now and try and get the rest of this season played out, and hope to restart next year. And let's hope we can get a full season in, an even season where it's not somebody's played 20 odd games and somebody's played 17. It doesn't make any sense. But just you just got to wish them well and say thanks for your efforts this year, boys.
Paul, I asked Richard Marshall how far away we were from being a playoff side. He said not very far. What do you think?
Honestly, I don't think that I think the league's pretty close. I don't think we're a million miles away. He's right. He is right there. I think you're probably 1 or 2 signings away, a bit of consistency, take COVID out of the equation. Well, for a side like us who's not got a massive squad or an academy or an A-team or anything like that, when you've got this COVID fight and you're about every week, it's difficult. So I think we've got the makings of a decent side. I think there's 1 or 2 players. This might sound really harsh now, and I mean this as respectful as I can. I think there's 1 or 2 players in the squad who aren't good enough, who aren't Super League players. I would never dream of naming names. I wouldn't. But there is 1 or 2 players who I don't think cut the mustard, and that's not me being out of order. I just don't think they are. So it depends next season. It depends who you bring in. Like before, when you're talking about Ken Seal going, it's who you bring in to replace him. If you bring someone who's not as good as Ken Seal, you're not going to finish as well as you have done this season. So we've got to be smart with recruitment. It's difficult. I spoke to Paul King last week, and he was really honest with the supporters. He came to Supporters Trust, and he sat there. He was having a pint, and he was just chatting to everybody that was there, openly, honestly, and telling us about what things are and how things are, and this, that, and the other. And it must be so difficult running that, and sort of spreading the money about, because you've got to have a squad, haven't you? And we signed this Croft, and I don't know how much money he's going to get paid, but you've got to make sure you've got the balance in your team. You can't sign one big name player then have a load of people on 10 grand a year who are not up to it. So no, I don't think we're a million miles off, Rob. We proved that this season in some of the games we've played. It's just frustrating. It's like the league game the other week. How come we couldn't go and win it, Lee? Why did we lose that game? They got absolutely tonked at Catalan with 60 points. But it's little things like that. You had 2 points on there. There's another 2 points. We could have finished higher up the table this season. There's been games where we've been really, really poor. And there's been other games where we've been all right. And there's been other games we played well. So we've been very inconsistent for me. And that's something that Richard Marshall needs to sort out. I think the discipline seems to be getting on top of. He needs to make his mark now and stamp his mark on it. He's had a taste of it now. I think there's been good things done this season. Some players have improved and done really well. I think there's a lot you can take out of this season, but it's been very hit and miss again. You've only got to look at the league table. Everyone's played a different amount of games, and it's very difficult to gauge. So yeah, I think Richard's right. I don't think sorry for the long-winded answer. I don't think we're a million miles away. I think we just need a few tweaks on that.
Yeah, I think if you can get a ball playing loose forward and another big forward prop, like a Grizzly one, I think we're a playoff side. We've got the experience of sort of the last few years of getting to big games off the field. We've got players who are hungry, who want to achieve at Salford, so that will be a good chemistry, good recipe for success in 2022. What about you, Parky? Are we close to being a playoff side?
I don't want to be a Debbie Downer, but I personally, I don't see it. I thought we were this year. I thought we had a better chance this year. If the players that are supposedly leaving leave, I'm not sure we will. I don't think there's enough good talent out there for us to improve that much to get us from second bottom to the top 6. I could be very wrong, and I don't know what's happening with promotion. If Toulouse come up, I mean, they've got a magnificent side already. I'm sure they'll have money to spend and add to their squad. I don't think, they're not going to be as weak as Lee. That's a definite. So it's going to be very, 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 very tough for us next year, I think. I don't want to be negative, hate it, but I've got to be honest, and I just think that we're not at. If we'd have kept the players fit throughout the year, great. But a lot of them players, like Lee Mossop and obviously Kev Brown's retiring, and a couple might be leaving, and Paulie will be going. Seb will be going back to his, back to Huddersfield and things like that. I think it's going to be hard to replace them all. The only thing is that a few of them might have been on higher wages than perhaps players we might bring in, so that might help us add a little bit more to the squad. I don't know, but I want to be optimistic and I want to see it, but I don't think we've moved on as much as I wanted this year with the players that we had. And I know, like I say, we've had injuries and COVID and everything else. But at the start of the season, we had this conversation between us, and I didn't see a reason why we couldn't finish in the top 6. Looking at our squad, hasn't happened. We've been unlucky at times, but every team's lost players. There's no, you can't sort of use that as a massive excuse. I just think at times tactically, and certainly in attack, we've been found wanting, and I don't know where you get that from. I don't know how we improve that. But I could be proved wrong, and I certainly hope I am. I certainly hope people can get in touch with you guys later next season and say that lad was talking absolute nonsense. But it's just how I feel right now. I think Paul mentioned before inconsistency. That is a massive thing. There's no way anyone can tell me if we'd have played the way we did against Hull, against Lee and Castleford, we wouldn't have had 3 wins on a bounce. That's and like Paul said, how high further up the table do you want to go then? Then I'd be looking at going, yeah, we can do it, but we can't. We don't back it up week to week, and that's what all the good teams do, and that's where we need to improve massively. It's more what goes on off the pitch and behind the scenes for me.
But don't forget, this team wasn't built by Richard Marshall. He only brought one, so he has an off-season Parky to bring his own men in. If you can see the players that he's brought in, Ellis Robson, for example. He's good. He's picking players that he thinks will fit into his philosophy. So you've got to think of it that way. Yeah, we're running around, we're clunking a bit, but how many of that team in Richard Marshall's head, in an ideal world, fits into his philosophy and the way he plays? That's the question to ask yourself.
I think the trouble is that those players might not even exist. Those players he wants, we might not be able to afford. True. Let's be honest. I want the Australian Test team. We can't. We're not allowed by the rules and money. That's how it is. You can't. A lot of managers go into clubs. You see it in football all the time. A manager goes into a club and has to use what he's got. That's the job. That's if you didn't like the squad when he looked at it when he went for the manager's role, don't take the job. You knew who we'd signed. You knew who we've got. I'm not going to go at Richard. I'm just saying in general that's how it works. You know what you've got. You've got to work with them, and it's your job to improve them. That's make players better. How many of our players are actually better now than they were at the start of the season? That's my big concern going forward. That's
a good point he's made there, Paul. Richard Marshall's all about development, and from what we see, it's not quite clicking.
Well, no, I think people have said a lot this season about Milado, who used to be there before Richard Marshall, and Watson. He gets a bit of stick, doesn't he? But when he was at Salford, the sign of a decent coach is he used to bring players in and make them better. I mean, how many star names did Ian sign? We brought players in there and he improved them and moulded them into a decent side. So I think that's going to be the sign of Richard Marshall. He's not going to have multi-million pounds to spend next season. So the players he's targeting, he's going to have to bring in and make them better. I mean, we've all heard rumours. We all hear stuff. We all say, such a body, Billy Smart signing for us next season or whoever, Joe Bloggs. We have all heard those rumours. You'll have heard them. Parky's heard them. The ones I've heard and the ones we've heard, you think to yourself, are they better than the players they've got now? They might be wrong. Those players might not have come. But the ones I'm thinking of I don't know whether they are. So it could be another season of struggle, but it's difficult because we've not got that money. So Richard Marshall might not be able to get those players. He's just gonna have to do his best with what he's got, cut his cloth and see where we end up. But the consistency is a big thing for me. And I mentioned it before in recent weeks. If we'd have had the right attitude at Lee, we'd have beat Lee. If we'd have had the right attitude in team selections at Wigan, we should have hammered Wigan. They moved into half-back and won the game in the second half. An half-decent side would have walloped Wigan that night. Okay, 40 points away from home. These were poor performances. So, yeah, we've played well in patches this season, but we've all been to the games and pulled our hair out, haven't we, when we've been there? So, and yeah, there's an excuse for it. And you can say, oh, this, that, COVID, the other. But we've been very, very patchy, and it's been disappointing, I think. You know, I'm not having a go at Richard Marshall, not one bit, but we have been disappointed. We all thought we was going to do better than what we've done.
But saying that, when it was looking a bit ropey, like Warrington at home, around that time of the year, we got the sweats on, didn't we? And Richard Marshall found a way through that period, Paul.
Yeah.
So you've got to think to yourself, well, yeah, he managed to cajole this team to get out of trouble. And now we'll just get through to the end of the season and we'll make what we can out with what we've got.
Yeah. Go, sorry, Paul. Keep going.
Sorry, I was just going to say, for me, we can't judge our games on games against Saints and Warrington. I mean, even Catalan for that. We can only judge on the teams that we think, and would have said at the start of the year, of the teams that would have been around us. How have we competed against Cass, Hull KR, even Hull? We got a great result at home. Lee, how have we done against them? That's got to be our comparison. The Warrington game was, let's be honest, diabolical. Absolutely. Yeah. And I think I had a rant about it at the time about just go have a look at yourself as a player. Don't care who you are, getting a walloping like that at home. But they're different. They're in a different echelon to us. Those teams. They spend big money. They've got great players, good academies, whatever. But what are we doing against the teams around us? Huddersfield, we did okay this year, fortunately, because that could have been a turning point for a lot of fans.
Could have been.
Wakefield, well, unfortunately, we've not had the proper run against Wakefield, have we? Because of cancellation and that kind of thing. But have we been good enough in them games? Probably not. That's the thing. If we beat those teams around us, we finish mid-table playoffs. That's how you do it. We're second bottom, and that's probably where most performances would put us.
It's a fair shout, Parky. It's a fair shout. We'll see what happens for next year. Big thanks for 3 with match reports, man of matches. Rick Andrew, he was happy about Chris Kendall's performance. No. Adam Wild, not quite sure. Well, no, sorry, not quite enough. Sorry, Tui. John Waite, better than expected. Tui. Paul mate Roy Ellaby, 5 soft tries. Kensio for scoring another try. Colin Wilson, costly defensive lapses. Johnson. Colin Reynolds, goal line defence was awful. Tui. Paul Foster, lack of direction. Tui. Reclaimed Salford, full pack missing. Tui. Nicholas Fletcher, no middles available. Tui. There's a pattern here, Parky. Obviously, without the big forwards, we lack the steel. But the players who are playing in the forwards, in the middles, are grafting, so you can't really kind of moan. David Deakin, Kendall was okay. His man of the match was Tui. Andrew, fitness is a worry. Tui. Paul, do you think our fitness is a worry?
No, I don't think the fitness is a worry, to be honest with you. It can be shown that in that sort of way sometimes. I think if you watch a match and you'll see different things, what other supporters will see different things to you. So it's like the injuries. I know people have said, I know Paul King tweeted it, didn't the full pack was missing. But yeah, I get that. I do get that. But Cass had Paul McShane on one leg. They had 2 blokes at halfback who don't play halfback. So they had players missing. They had forwards missing. So they've got players out. So every team does, don't they? So it was just the manner of it, really. I didn't think we were good enough in that game. And just thinking back before about the matches, yeah, we're not going to get judged against Warrington, but Hull KR away 40 points to 4. Leeds twice. Leeds are no better than those sides we've talked about. They're a mid-table team. They've tonked us twice. Lee, the Castleford games, we've not been good enough in those games, have we? And that's why we're going to finish second bottom. Even on that percentage thing, I don't think the league table is going to lie, is it? It's not going to lie. And I mean, the one thing that's really, really brassing me off at the moment is the fact that Lee have won one match, and it was against us, and we were appalling in that match. And if they go through to the end of the season and they've only won that game, I think it's an embarrassment. That I mean, nothing against Lee whatsoever, but that to me was a very, very disappointing day.
David Snape gave everything. Man of the match was Hingano, and finally Bob Sutton, not happy about the defence. So that's the 3 with match reports. Big thanks for everyone. We'll be looking forward to the next 2 over the next few games, and we'll be reading them out like always on the show. So what we're going to look forward to now is what's gone on in the last 2 weeks in the world of Salford Red Devils. So, Parky, what we'll do, we'll start off with the news about our link-up with the Welsh Rugby League. 3 players have come through that process and got into we'll be playing for our reserves next season. Great stuff. It's a great project they've got down there, and it's starting to bear fruit.
Yeah, so, sorry if anyone can hear that. My dog's just started having a dream.
We all want a dream, Parker.
Very odd. Anyway, sorry about that. Yeah, no, absolutely delightful news. We mentioned it earlier in the year about this link with the the Welsh and how well they were doing, and it looks like this could be a great partnership for us now. Obviously, I spoke to people who've been involved with this, and they've singled out players from Wales who've really shone and look, and we were a little bit worried that other teams are going to step in and steal them away from us because we haven't got an academy, nowhere for them to go. This is great news. It's great. This is exactly what we need to be doing. We know we're struggling in and around Salford quite a bit to bring in our own sort of players. We've got to spread our wings. These kids look like they're going to be. I mean, I say kids. I saw a photo of them. They're certainly not kids to me. They look massive. But no, this is brilliant. And obviously, I'm an old sort of fuddy-duddy in many ways, and I love the link that we've got with the Welsh anyway. I don't think there's been too many Welsh players we've had that have failed with us. No, I think it's brilliant, and it opens up a new market for us, not just with the players, but commercially as well. That this link, I think it's brilliant. I hope these lads really, really, get a good shot. And who knows, with everything, the ambition they've got behind the scenes at the club with the youth development and so on, and the plans they've got, it's a great first step, isn't it?
Yeah, Lewin Roberts, Jack Lee, and Joe Coopy Franklin. Paul, 3 kids there coming through will join our reserve team in 2022. They're also studying at the University of Lancashire as well, which is good, obviously, because we need obviously rugby league's only a short career, so to get education behind them is an important thing as well, and it kind of feeds into our sort of mentality, what the club want, the development at every level at Salford.
Yeah, the education is good because it keeps people grounded. It keeps you on the straight and narrow as well, and adds another string to your bow, if you like, and gets you in that routine, doesn't it? So, no, I think it's great. I was dead chuffed with that story, and just glad that we're getting this reserve team next season, because I think that's going to do us the world of good. We had one, not last season, the season before, was it, or the start of last season? I think we had one, didn't we? And then it got scrapped, didn't it, for one thing and another. So it'd be good to see that come back, because players need that pathway, and we still need to get that academy as well, don't we? All know that, because you can't just chuck these kids straight into Super. I don't think you can just chuck these kids straight into reserve team. That's going to be tough enough as it is, but at least we're getting somewhere with it now. Great to see us getting these young kids. We've just got to make sure we can nurture them now, carry them on through our system, because we don't want them getting poached by the likes of Warrington, Wigan, St Helens, because they're nearby and they'll be sniffing, because they always are. There'll be players in our squad now they'll be sniffing and looking at, won't they? So that always goes on. So yeah, but good to see him. A good news story in that, and there's talent in that neck of the woods. There is. These lads are, whether they're rugby union, rugby league, they're born with a rugby ball, aren't they? And how many players has Salford Rugby League Club had from Wales over the years? Loads of them. Loads of top players as well. You think like Maurice Richards and Colin Dixon and people like that, and David Watkins. The list goes on, doesn't it? These are legends of our club. So it's hotbed of the sport down there, and delight we've got good links with them.
Yeah, other news, Connor Aspey's gone on loan to Widnes Parker to help his development.
Yeah, he looks like he does well everywhere he goes. You read the reports from the fans and the clubs that he's been at on loan, and everyone sort of raves about him. I know he played this week. He scored, didn't he, for Widnes? And was it his debut for him or something? He seems to do that a lot. I know he was going to Newcastle at one point, and he's been around, and everywhere he's gone, he's really impressed. So I hope he gets his chance next year. Obviously, if we've got reserves, that's ideal to let him showcase. I've only seen him a few times. I think we all have, but he's always looked okay. Just needs time to develop as a player and let his body sort of mature into it. But no, he's great. He needs time on the pitch. If it wasn't sort of Warrington and Saints the last 2 games this season, sure he'd be tempted to bring him back and throw him in and let him have a go. But that's a large step for a kid to make. I think so. But no, brilliant, great that he's out there. And I just hope that we have got plans for him and keeping him at the club because he's obviously clearly a talent.
Yeah, we talk about the Welsh lads coming up and developing. Paul Connor's obviously gone to Widnes. He might be in the next phase of that kind of development process.
Yeah, I'm very surprised he's not had a chance this season in the team. I know Richard Marshall's gone to St Helens and Warrington and loan players, hasn't he? And then put him straight into our side. I just find it bizarre the way that Connor's not had an opportunity because these lads that have come in are not dead experienced at Super League level, but yet he's played them. So yeah, I'd give him a go this season. I think he's done well, as you say, when he's gone on loan to places. I spoke to him a couple of times, Connor, and he's a very grounded young man. He's always in the gym. I think he does personal training, doesn't he? So he keeps himself fit and looks after himself. I mean, he's only young as well. So, like you said, his body's got to mature and that. And he's brutal Super League, isn't it? So yeah, he's talented. There's no doubt about that when you see him play. And hopefully now with the reserves next season, he'll get his chance to showcase his skills week in, week out for Salford and be a part of that. Because we've signed another young hooker as well from Wigan, haven't we? Amir Burroughs going to be there as well. So hopefully those two can bounce off each other and be fighting it out for replacing the first team.
Yeah. Other news, the club have a campaign going on to try and get all the schools and community clubs to the Saints game, the final home game of the season. I think it's great. Obviously, we want to be a community club and reaching out to the schools and the local sort of other clubs in the area is only going to build that strength in our support, Parker.
Yeah, the last home game, the whole game, I noticed a large contingent from Langworthy. From Langworthy Reds, their kids, and they made a right noise, to be fair, and it was good for the atmosphere. It did help. I mean, it obviously helps when your team's thumping somebody, but they were really good, and it'd be great, wouldn't it, to see at least a decent turnout. I think it's a great thing from the club to do. You get to see. I mean, these kids, obviously, we want them to be Salford fans, but they're going to get to see St Helens back-to-back, champions or whatever. What if you're into rugby league? What a better game to go and see. Great initiative, brilliant. I hope people take it up. I know it's tough getting kids from schools to go. The amateur sides do great work. We know that, and they'll get as many there as they can anyway. But it is hard to get kids, and teachers and or whatever else, parents to go after school or whatever. But brilliant, great chance. Give them that taster. Let them see what it's all about. Hopefully put in a decent display for them, and the next little superstar might just be sitting there that day and thinking, 10, 15 years time, I remember that day. That made me want to play rugby. So yeah, brilliant, good, well done to the club for that.
Yeah, if obviously you're part of one of the community clubs, if you want to contact neil.blackburn@salfordcc.ac.uk, if you're obviously part of the school and you want your students to go, contact paul.trainer@salfordreddevils.net, Paul. And I think the important thing for me is if with these sort of schools, the community clubs have that sort of are already in a sort of let's call it a bubble. It's not a bubble, but it is a bubble. They're all trained together. They watch the match. They play together. They all socialise together. So going to the match together is probably sort of an automatic step. Schools are a different thing for me because obviously with the school you're relying on a teacher, aren't you, to go out of the way to bring them. And that is a good way, I think, of introducing them to Salford and to rugby league. It's how you manage to convert these class of 30, let's say, into fans who go every week, because in the schools won't go to a week out, a day out, sorry, every 2 weeks. It's kind of an activity. We were all at school. We went to Leatherall, we went to Chester Zoo, we went to places, didn't we? It was an event. So it's how you convert that. Oh, it's an event. Let's go every week and watch Salford.
Do you know how you do that, Rob?
Go on.
You capture those kids' hearts and minds. When they turn up on Friday night against St Helens, you make sure they enjoy themselves and they feel a part of it. And that's how I started watching Salford. You go there and you think, wow, I'm a part of this now. And I don't know how you do it, but that's how you've got to get it into their brains that they want to come back again. And when they go home on Friday night to the mums and dads, the first thing they say when they go in the door, they say, oh, how did you go on tonight, Jack, or whatever? I loved it, Dad. I loved it, and I want to go there again. I want to go and watch Salford again. And that's how we need to sell it. And I think that's how we need to sell it to the community. And I know there's been stuff talked about us moving ground and this, that, and the other, and the people in that area. Why don't we, wherever we end up, try and sell it to those people that don't come and say, come and be part of this. This club hasn't won a major trophy since 1976, but you can help us. You come and make this club your own and come and help us. Come on this journey with us. That's how we need to sell it to people. And you know, I think if kids enjoy it and you give them a good night and it's an entertaining atmosphere, and it is. I mean, Friday night rugby league or even nighttime rugby league, I used to love it at the Willows as a kid. The night games were always great. You know, the smell of wintergreen and stuff like that. And you were just dead excited all day at school. You couldn't wait to go. So get them kids there Friday night. I'm pretty sure you'll get some of them coming back. And when they do come back, they bring the parents. And you've got other people coming. You've got to sell it to the community, get the community involved. And I think that's great working with that. Get as many kids there as you can. Let's pack that East Stand out. Let's pack it with school kids and community clubs. And every kid at Folly Lane, Langworthy Reds, Caddy's Head, they should all get free season tickets for me. They should just hand them out at the clubs at the start of the season. They sign up, they pay. They still pay subs when you play rugby and that. Yeah. I used to play a bit years ago. You pay your subs, don't you, £1 a week or whatever. Might be a bit more these days now. But when you sign up at the start of the season, you get your welcome pack and here's your ticket for Salford, your season ticket. But you've got to bring your parent with you. You can't just come on your own. You know, something like let's get involved with the community. Let's get them loving Salford. And you see it at Leeds and all these other clubs, don't you? They work and people go there and they love that club. I want that with Salford. I want kids to come and love Salford.
It's good.
Yeah, can I just say, I think that was outstanding what Paul's just said.
I know. I was thinking that. I think I need to write this down for timing so I can clip it. I'm just hoping he did it in under 2 minutes 20. I do keep telling him about these monologues he goes on for need to be 2 minutes 20. It's always like 4 minutes, Paul, and it's a bit like I can't cut it in half. So could do with just having like a stopwatch slightly off camera. So when you start talking, press the start button. And
make a lot of it up as they go along. I won't be able to do it again.
No, he's spot on in what he says. By the way, I think the idea of giving out season tickets at amateur clubs is certainly to kids, maybe primary school kid, anyone under 11 or whatever. Why not? But like you say, you have to bring a parent or guardian or whatever. That's how it's going to work. Obviously, I don't think I'm going to get to the AJ Bell on their own. God, I can't do it. Brilliant idea, and hopefully, I mean, the one thing that does guarantee people turn up is winning things, isn't it? But that's something we've not tried for a while. So this is just great initiative. I remember, was it Trish Goldsmith at the Willows tried it for a while, didn't she, with a golden ticket thing or whatever it was, and we got a couple of great turnouts. But how many actually stuck with it? What did we follow it up with? Is there it's too late, I think, now, but this is the last game of the season. If we get, I don't know how many kids turn up, if you give them a ticket and say next time, the next game at home, you can come in for free if you bring an adult who pays 10 quid, 15 quid, 20, whatever. That's how you get bums on seats, I think. But anyway, that's up to everybody else, and I don't know financially how it works, anything like that, whether you can do it. But good initiative. We hope everyone takes it up. Hope it's a nice night, the weather's decent, and the club get the benefit from it.
Yeah. Other news: Paul, 2021 Players Award awards evening has been announced. 22nd of September. Over 18s, 2-course dinner, £35 for average Joe, £25 if you're a squad builder member. Dressed to impress as well. So might have to trim my eyebrows or something.
To get yourself the top, man. Get yourself some clothes. I know. I really wanted to go to that, and I've just looked at my shifts, and I'm on a late, so I have to ask one of my colleagues to help me out, because I'd love to go to that. It should be really good. I mean, I went to the one 2 years ago, the 2000. You went to that, didn't you? 2019 one, you two, and that was a great night. And I think I won the raffle that night as well.
You won everything, if I remember rightly. You had about eight
No, I won something.
My dad
I pulled one out, and it was my dad's. I know. I thought we was fiddling. But no, it'd be a good night. That'd be really enjoyable. So yeah, get yourself down to that, and don't forget to do your voting as well. The Supporters Trust one, you should get your email. Actually, they've got an award, a couple of awards. So if you're a Supporters Trust member, you'll get your email to vote on that. I've just done mine tonight. I'm not telling you who I voted for though. No. It's I remain anonymous, but it's the Player of the Year award. That and the I think it's the top tackler, top hitman as well. There's 2 awards in there for that. So yeah,
we'll be doing our Player of the Year award as well, Parquet, soon. Thanks to all the 3-word match reports, man of the matches. We calculate them, and then we're going to do a poll, I think, as well, to see what our listeners think. So that'll be exciting. I think we'll probably get that going in the next few days, because we're running out of time, we're running out of games.
Yeah, again, we mentioned off air earlier on, Rob, about how a few years ago I was doing a similar thing on a forum, and every week somebody would mention a player, and it'd be seen like the same 2 or 3 players were getting mentioned, and you're thinking, well, they're going to be in the running for the Player of the Year. But when you put it to an actual vote at the end of the year, you get a very, very different outcome, because people drift in and out through the season and so on. Someone might start the season absolutely on fire, but by the back end of the season we're burnt out and got nothing, or haven't played or whatever. So it is interesting to see people's thoughts at the end of the year. And I've got my Player of the Year already sorted in my mind, but for me there's probably 4 or 5 you can pick from realistically, because of people having long layoffs and that kind of thing. But yeah, it'd be interesting to see what everybody thinks, all our listeners, and different views, because between the 3 of us, I'm sure we've all got different views on different players. So yeah, it'd be good. So I'll have to get cracking with that.
Yeah, so that's all the news coming out of the club this week. And what we'll do now, we'll look at what's happening in the amateur scene with Paul Whiteside.
Right, well, here is this week's Devil in the Detail amateur report. We'll start off with the National Conference Leagues this week, and it was League C where most of the action involving our local sides was. Oldham St Anne's 6, Clockface Miners 32, Rochdale Mayfield 42, Crossfields 41. What a game that was. Mayfield trailed 16-28 at half-time, winning the game 42-41. What a cracking match that was. Woolston Rovers 36, Saddleworth Rangers 24. So the fixtures for this week are going to be played on Saturday the 11th of September. League C, Clockface Miners play Woolston Rovers, Crossfields play Waterhead Warriors, Saddleworth Rangers play Rochdale Mayfield, and there's a fixture in the Cross League between Oldham St Anne's and Lee East. Turning our attention now to the North West Men's League. There wasn't much to shout about the weekend just gone. Just one result involving our local sides on Saturday the 4th of September. That was in Division 1, Chorley Panthers 50, Bury Broncos 0. The fixtures for this week, Saturday 11th of September, Division 1, Bury Broncos at home to Ulverston, Hindley take on Oldham St Anne's A. Division 2, Caryshead Rhinos at home to Hindpool Tigers, West Horton Lions face Folly Lane, and in Division 3, Rochdale Mayfield A take on Salford City Roosters. Division 4, Higginshaw face Clockface Miners, Langworthy Reds play Newton Storm, and Division 5 South and East, Waterhead Warriors A versus Ince Bridge A, and Burton Wood Chargers are at home to Salford City Roosters A. Well, there's quite a bit to talk about in the youth and junior leagues, considering the amount of stuff that went on the weekend. There's not much there, but the fixtures for next weekend, there's a lot of cup games and whatever going on, so we'll talk about that in a second. But the results from the weekend just gone, these games were played on Sunday. Division 1 of the under-18s, it was Halton Farnworth Hornets 26, Rochdale Mayfield 10, and in the under-16s, Ryland Sharks 28, Saddleworth Rangers 4. That was in the Premier Division. The fixtures for this weekend, coming Sunday the 12th of September, it's the Lancashire Cup Semi-Finals in the under-18s. Newton Storm play Thatto Heath Crusaders. Oldham St Anne's or Hindley play Bank Bulls, so I'm presuming they play midweek to decide who plays in that one. The North West Youth Cup Semi-Finals, Ashton Bears Blacks play Blackbrook Blues. Saddleworth Rangers played Chorley Panthers. In the Premier Division of the under-18s, it's Ulverston against Waterhead Warriors. Division 2, Crossfields face Wigan St Pat's. Division 3, Ashton Bears Gold face Caddy's Head Rhinos, and Folly Lane take on the Blackbrook Royals. Moving on to the under-16s, Lancashire Cup Semi-Finals on Sunday. Lee Minor Rangers face Saddleworth Rangers. Ryland Sharks plays to Salford City Roosters. The North West Youth Cup Semi-Finals, Oral St James Blues play Roost Pioneers, and Rochdale Mayfield are at home to the Rylands Tiger Sharks. In the Premier Division of the under-16s, Lee Minor Rangers face Saddleworth Rangers. Ryland Sharks against Salford City Roosters. Division 1, Hindley against Pilkington Rex. Waterhead Warriors against Blackbrook Royals. West Bank Bears face Crossfields. In Division 2, West Horton Lions face Wigan St Patrick's. Highpool Tigers entertain Clock face Miners. And Division 3 finally, Goulburn Parkside face Woolston Rovers, and Leyland Warriors play Portico Vine. So quite a busy weekend there in the youth and junior leagues. Just before we go this week, we've just got a bit of action to tell you about, as we do every week, about the Life Outside Super League, and there was quite a bit of it going on at the weekend. I know it was the Magic weekend, but the Betfred Championship, it was round 20, Batley Bulldogs 14, Whitehaven 22. Big win for Whitehaven there. They're just outside the playoff place at the moment. Bradford Bulls were beaten at home to Toulouse Olympic by 60 points to 6. Featherstone Rovers beat Halifax Panthers by 54 points to 22. It leaves Toulouse top. They played 13, won 13. So on the percentage, they've got 100%. Featherstone have won 18 from 19, so there's 89%. So they played 6 games more, but at the moment it's still on the percentage game. Newcastle Thunder 16, York City Knights 29. That game was played Friday night. Big win there for York. Sheffield 20, Dewsbury Rams 24. Swinton Lions were beaten at home agonisingly in the end. They trailed 28-16 at half-time, came back in the second half with a couple of late tries in the last 15 minutes. They were beaten 34-32 at home to London Broncos. Widnes Vikings had a regulation win over Oldham. They won 62 points to 4. In the Betfred League 1, round 17, Doncaster 18, Coventry Bears 13, Hunslet 82, West Wales Raiders 6, Keighley Cougars 34, North Wales Crusaders 14, London Scholars 18, Workington Town 35, and Rochdale Hornets were pipped in the last minute in this game against Barrow Raiders. Rochdale Hornets 30, Barrow Raiders 32. Cracking league this one. Barrow Raiders still top of the table with 12 wins from 16 matches. Their win percentage is 78. Workington Town are second with 75% win ratio. Then it's Doncaster, North Wales Crusaders, Keighley Cougars and Hunslet. Rochdale Hornets are just outside the playoff places at the moment. The fixtures for this week: Betfred League 1 on Saturday 3 o'clock, Barrow Raiders face West Wales Raiders. North Wales Crusaders play London Scholars at 2:30. On Sunday, Batley Bulldogs face Dewsbury Rams 3 o'clock. London Broncos against Featherstones at 3 o'clock. Oldham against Newcastle is also at 3 o'clock. Sheffield plays Swinton Lions at 4:30. Whitehaven against Halifax is a 3 o'clock kick-up, and Widnes Vikings face Bradford Bulls also at 3 o'clock. In Betfred League 1, Doncaster plays Keighley on Sunday at 2:30. Rochdale Hornets are at home to Coventry Bears at 3 o'clock, and Workington Town face Hunslet at 2 o'clock. That's all I've got for you this week. Don't forget Salford are away this week. Rob will be telling you all about that on the podcast. 3 o'clock kick-off Saturday the 11th of September away to Warrington. More out after that amateur report. I shall catch you on Saturday. Take care and have a good week.
So that was Paul's amateur report, and what we're going to do now, we're going to look forward to the Warrington game on Saturday.
It's time for the Devil of the Details Big Match Review.
Stadium Warrington for the final away game of the season. Parky, looking forward to it.
Warrington, they're a really good team, aren't they? They are. They've got some special players in their squad. I mean, George Williams joining them late in the season. I don't think anybody in the league needed that to go with Widdop and people like that. But it's always a great day. We always take decent numbers there, and but it's going to be tough, really tough. They've got their squad's outstanding. As it should be for the money it cost them. But like I mentioned probably on the other podcast, they were in a grueling game against Wigan on Sunday. So they'll have had less prep time. They did take a few knocks. I know a couple of players had to go off, didn't they? I think a couple with head injuries. So whether they'll be available, it might be a chance for us. It might be a chance to catch them off guard a little bit. Hopefully we can get a couple of players back. But it's a massive task. I mean, Warrington are up there for a reason, and what they did to us at the AJ Bell was, well, it was embarrassing at the time. So we need to avoid that kind of performance. And for some of the lads, they're coming to the end of their Salford sort of time, and I'm sure they want to go out in the next couple of weeks, showing that they're giving everything for their club. So yeah, it should be a decent tussle. I think, I'll be honest, I think Warrington will have too much for us. I think they're firing really well, but whether who they've got the week after, I don't know. Whether their minds are sort of saying, well, we're in the playoffs, take it easy a little bit, because we've got the playoffs to come, which are, as we know from a couple of years ago, are tough games. You've got to be ready for them. You get one shot and that's it. So yeah, no, it'll be a good game for those that can fortunately attend it.
Jake Mamo with 14 tries, Josh Charlie with 11 tries, Toby King with 10 tries, Widdock with 10 tries. Paul, they've got strike force all over.
Yeah, and add to that, like Stephen Ratchford and George Williams, and there's a lad I like who plays at hooker for him, that Danny Walker. I think he's a cracking player, him, and he's got Darryl Clark as well. But Danny Walker's becoming his sort of deputy, isn't it? But he's pushed his way into the side in recent weeks. He's really nippy around the road. Reminds me of like the Hume brothers, Paul and David Hume, the way they used to play the game. So he's a special player. Look at the pack they've got. Ben Curry, Mike Cooper, always really, really consistent. So they're a big physical side, aren't they? And they've got some quality players. Got match winners all over the pitch, haven't they? And people who can do magic. I mean, on the day, they're like the Harlem Globetrotters, aren't they, Warrington? On paper, they've probably got the best side in the league. But occasionally, they sort of seem to have this soft underbelly where they let themselves down. Wakefield the other week, they got beat, didn't they? And Willie Poaching turned them over. So, you can... Whereas St Helens are more like a machine, Warrington, you can get the better of sometimes. We've had some good results there in the past, haven't we? So I think with them, it's attitude. If you can catch them on an off day, you can turn them over. But no, it's going to be tough. Bookies have given us an 18-point start, and I tell you what, the bookies aren't wrong very often. I do the handicap every week, and they more or less nail it every week. So I've lost that much money with the handicap. So yeah, I'm expecting a tough game, Rob. I think it will be difficult. But I think we need a bit of a reaction now, don't we? We need to play well after that week against Cass. We've got 2 games left. I mean, the St Helens game, will St Helens rest players? Catalans have finished top of the table now. Saints can't go any higher, I don't think. So are they going to be looking at the playoffs? You might get some funny scores. So I think we've just got to approach it with the right attitude and just go there and do our best. That's all we can do.
Steve Price last season in charge. It's always Warrington J Parky. Will the wheels fall off starting against us?
I don't know. It's really tough this year. I think Catalan have been, a real cat amongst the pigeons, haven't they? Because of the way they played. And that game on Saturday Sunday, by the way. Oh, Saturday, wasn't it? The Saints Catalan game. What an outstanding game, rugby league. Anyone who watched that, no matter what sport you want, you'd be drooling watching that. It was brilliant. The excitement right to the end. The drop goals, and it typified what rugby league can be. By the way. But between them 3, Saints, Warrington and Catalan, there isn't an awful lot. Warrington have always been the nearly men. Catalan usually sort of question their temperament a little bit. And when it gets to big games, are they ready for it? And Saints, well, we know what Saints can do. But again, this year, they've been at times a little bit, hot and cold. So I think it's interesting this year. So Warrington, I think have got a really good chance. I think with the players they've got, to get them all fit, I think they'll be a real threat. And I must admit, I probably fancy them this year. It does upset me to say that, but I think they've got a really good chance.
Prediction time. Paul, I will go first this time, just to mix it up. I'm going to go Warrington 10, Salford 36, and I'm going for Chris Atkin double for Salford.
What are you doing? Are you going tying all the players up in the dressing room before the game, or Warrington? 36-10. Oh, I don't know.
We've got a good record down at Halliwell Jones, I'll have you know. I think we've won 5 of the last 7.
We've had some hammerings there as well. Don't forget them days. Yeah, I mean, like just going back to what Parky said there, I think for me, you've got three sides now that have got a chance of winning this league: Catalan, Saints, and Warrington. I can't see Wigan or Leeds. Not the way Wigan are playing. I don't think they can score enough points. That Catalan game, I must admit as well, against Saints at the weekend, is one of the best finishes to a match I have seen. I mean, I was saying to my dad, I went, "Do you reckon that eclipses the £1 million game?" He went, No, it can't. But I said, well, I don't know. They scored 3 tries in the last 4 minutes, didn't they? And so it wasn't bad. And that drop goal from 40 yards out as well. So we'll say the £1 million game's still up there, but that's a close second, I think.
Yeah, not even anywhere near. Not even anywhere near. Well, they're going to liquidate Saints if they lost.
Well, I tell you what, credit Catalans where it's due. I was made up for Steve McNamara and the Catalan people. I think they've done really well this season, and I just hope now that they can go on and win it, because I think what a boost that would give French Rugby League. You've got Catalan Dragons in the Super League leading the way, Toulouse Olympic in the Championship. I think I'd love to see Toulouse come up. I really would. Oh, Featherstone, whoever comes up. But I think Toulouse, Catalan and Super League would be great. That sort of derby game between two. Well, say it's a derby game. I think they're miles away from each other. France is a massive country. But no, I'm waffling again. You're after my score prediction. I'm going to go...
Yeah.
I don't know. Backs against Salford in the prediction league last week as well.
Oh,
against Catalan when they played Catalan. First time I've ever done. I'm going to go for a Salford win. I don't know why. 22-20 to Salford.
22-20. What about, and is there a story behind it?
Yeah, I'll go a bit left field this week. Get a late penalty and Tristan Inu will kick it.
Inu.
The touchline.
How about you, Parky? What's yours?
Well, after the last 2 podcasts that we've just done, the last 2 days, I've been very negative.
Yeah.
So I'm going to shock everyone. I'm going to be positive.
All right. The pills are kicking in, have they?
It's probably because I'm not going. Paul mentioned earlier that we haven't won a major trophy since '76. Funnily enough, I was born in January of '77, so I think I am the bad luck. So, as I'm not going, I'm going to go 18-14 to Salford.
18-14?
Yeah.
And is there a story behind it?
Morgan Escaray will score to level it up with 5 minutes to go.
Yeah.
Inu will obviously kick the goal because that's what he does.
Yeah.
And we'll just hold out to the end.
And that'll send the travelling fans into ecstasy, like happens so often in the Halliwell Jones. So that's the end of this week's second podcast of this week. Parker, another good chat talking all things Salford.
Yeah, it's been great to be back with you these last couple of pods, lads. I have really missed it. I know I have a moan and a whinge about stuff, but it's good to get it off my chest. It makes my life a lot better, and I'm sorry for everyone who has to listen to me, but I've just got my opinions. But no, great to chat to you both and see you both again.
Yeah, and the economy didn't call you out, Paul, so that's a good sign, or is it a bad sign?
Well, I get a bit of retainer for being on it, for sitting by my phone, but I do like to go out and claim my overtime. But it's 30 odd degrees in it, so I've not done too bad tonight. But no, looking forward to the weekend, lads. And no, it's a shame season's coming to a close, and it seems to have gone quick, this season. But I'm not looking forward to watching the playoffs. I mean, if it's anything as good as the games we got a weekend at the Magic weekend, I mean, I've not seen the Leeds Hull game yet. I believe that was a belter as well. So some cracking games at the weekend, and looking forward to the Warrington game on Saturday. Yeah.
So big thanks to this week's Devil in Detail podcast. I'm Rob Parkinson. You can find us on Facebook, Devil in Detail SRD. You can find us on Twitter at DITD SRD. And you can find us on SoundCloud, iTunes, Radio Contact, Spotify, and YouTube. See you next week.